Thank you for figuring out all the microphones of which one to use. Good job, Billy. Give him another round of applause. If you haven't had a chance to see Billy perform, I certainly would encourage you to do that. What a treat. To speak about our next honoree, someone who might just be a little partial to the name Johnny Mullins, if you would welcome his daughter, Melinda Mullins.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I told Mom I was just going to wing it, but yesterday I thought, that's just dumb. So I wrote some stuff out. It's so much of an honor to be here. Thank you so much. I'm Melinda Mullins. This is my mother, Miss Peggy Mullins, and I'm here to talk about Johnny Mullins. He is known as the Ozarks' own Grammy-nominated songwriting elementary school janitor. Dad was born in Berry County, Layton Hollow, Missouri, which is right outside of Ridgely, which is right outside of Exeter, which is right outside of Cassville. And he started writing songs when he was 8 years old, and he never stopped. He never turned back. He spent some time in the Dalles, Oregon as a on-air DJ, and he would sing. He was known as the yodeling cowboy from the Ozarks. And then he tried a little bit singing some of his songs up and down the coast, but he just was drawn back to the Ozarks. So in the early 50s, he moved to town where the Ozark Jubilee was broadcast every Saturday night live from the Jewel Theater in downtown Springfield, Missouri. Johnny met and wed Miss Peggy. How can you blame him, huh? He also started a career with the Springfield Public School System as a janitor, and he worked as a janitor for decades. Most of the time was at Wilder Elementary. In 1954, in a diner just outside of the Jewel Theater, Johnny Mullins met Porter Wagner, who had just moved up from West Plains, Missouri. He was a butcher, but he was also a singer. And at that point in time, Johnny didn't have any songs recorded, and at that time, Porter had not recorded any songs. But that changed. So in 1954, the song, "Oh, Mama, I'm excited, I'm almost out of breath. What I saw like to made me run myself to death. I was on the mountainside and I looked down below. Glory be, I thought I'd better come and let you know that we got company coming." Thank you. That was the song that kicked it off for my dad. Oh, this one's still on. Awesome. Let's see. That song was recorded and performed by so many people. It was Porter Wagner, Red Foley, Jack Benny, Mickey Mouse, and opened up Silver Dollar City for years and years. And it's just so much fun. And I do shows of Dad's songs, and I always tell people, when I do this song, it's always going to come true. And I swear every single show, I sing Company's Coming, and somebody comes in through the door. You ought to do that song in case if your crowd's ever low. So it was through the connections from the Ozark Jubilee that Johnny Mullins met and became friends with producer Cy Simon of Earl Barton Music. And Cy kept Johnny in connection with Nashville. People kept saying, "Johnny, you need to move down here to Nashville." And he was like, "Nope, I love the Ozarks." And he actually loved being a janitor. He loved those kids. And he was also kind of partial to he used to say, "I'm just going to stay in Springfield where I can have the same wife, the same job, the same house, the same car. Might change the car after about 250,000 miles." So through that connection in Nashville, the Wilburn brothers called up Johnny Mullins in 1962 and said, "We got this new little gal that just signed to Decca Records." And at that point in time, Loretta Lynn had hardly written anything. So Johnny sent her a song, and success has made a failure of our home was recorded by Loretta Lynn. It was her first top 10 hit. And that song ended up being recorded by Sinead O'Connor and Elvis Costello and me. It's a cautionary tale. And when you listen to the words of that song, it kind of explains why Dad shied away from the music industry. The music business can do a lot of good, but can also, it can change people. Dad didn't ever want me to be in the music business, so I waited until I was 100 years old to do it. So Johnny and Loretta became friends after that, and she asked him to write a song just for her. Since she has blue eyes and she's from Kentucky, Johnny wrote, "Your blue Kentucky girl." And after that song became a hit, Loretta became pen pals with Dad. Isn't that right? She used to call the house. On occasion, she would call Wilder Elementary, and I would have loved to have been in that school and heard over the intercom, Mr. Mullins, Loretta Lynn's on the phone, Loretta Lynn's on the phone." There are so many little thrills that Dad was able to experience through the joy of music and basically being a local legend, and that's probably another reason why he shied away from going down to Nashville. So after Blue Kentucky Girl, that song just really took off. It became a country classic standard, and it's on all the karaoke machines all over the world. And Loretta, even though she didn't write it and became such a prolific writer, as we all know, she continued to sing that at all of her concerts up until she wasn't singing anymore. And I went to several of them, and she would say, "My friend Johnny Mullins wrote this next song, and it makes me mad." So that song ended up being the one that sent the skinny little elementary school janitor to the Grammys in 1980s. And that was for Emmylou Harris's version of Blue Kentucky Girl. And Johnny did not win his Grammy for writing the song, but Emmylou won a Grammy for Album of the Year, which was entitled Blue Kentucky Girl. So, you know, it was a win for our family, and it was a very big deal. And Dad, his songs have been recorded by so many, like classic country, bluegrass, folk, gospel, and every single person that listens to Johnny Mullins songs or sings them, records them, we're all a part of a big family. And that's why I'm so happy that Dad's name is going to be, we've got this beautiful granite stone here. It's going to be in the heart of the Ozarks, right where my dad loved to be. Thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you. I will say that in addition to songwriting, he wrote books and poems, and he won several Poet Laureate awards. He was inducted into the Missouri Writers Hall of Fame in 2001. And after his diagnosis of Alzheimer's in 1997, he passed his guitar to me, and I tucked it away for a while. It was after his passing in 2009 that I discovered that he left behind not only the songs that had previously been recorded, but an entire huge body of work that I found in what I call the shoebox collections. There were so many cassette tapes. And I realized that Johnny Mullins still has a musical legacy. So I've been working on archiving. I'm continuing to archive and perform, and other people perform Dad's songs. It's so wonderful that he's gone, but his music is still alive, and it's just running through the veins of this beautiful earth. JohnnyMullinsCollection.com or JohnnyMullins.com for any more information if anybody wants to read the story about my dad, hear any of his songs, his music, or be on my email list. I love to do shows, and I love the fact that I can take people on a musical journey through the songs of Johnny Mullins, and we are so honored, Mom, Peggy, Nick, thank you. We are just thrilled to be here. come on up. Thank you so much. We are truly honored. You get to talk too.
Well, thank you. Well, I just appreciate this doing that in the Marshfield, little town close to Springfield. I don't do anything but cry, so I'm going to have to get off of here. But thank you all very much.
Our next honorees may be surprised by their honor today because they actually thought they were coming to see someone else honored. These two individuals, we have a strict rule, Cherry Blossom rule. We don't get involved in current politics. But because we celebrate the history that unites us, not the history that divides us. And so it's only appropriate this year, as these two begin a new journey, new seasons of life, that we add their names to the Walk of Fame, where they join former governors and first ladies of the state of Missouri, Warren and Betty Hearns, and John and Janet Ashcroft, and Governor Phil and Juanita Donnelly. To describe Governor and Mrs. Parson could take 2 or 3 books, and Governor Parson's going to be interviewed later this morning about his book and his life. But I want to say this, and this is not a political statement, it's a true statement. Governor Parson came to office as our 57th governor at a time when Missouri was in kind of a political uncertainty. He brought stability to the office, and then, of course, right after he takes the reins of office, not long after that, COVID rears its head. And as we all remember from those years, they were difficult years, and the state of Missouri was no exception to that. But we saw steady leadership. We saw a person whose heart was in the decisions that he made. It was not just looking at numbers, it was looking at people and their hearts. And I know, having gotten to know both Mike and Teresa Parson, I know that I can say that with certainty. They've been so supportive of the Missouri Cherry Blossom Festival. Mrs. Parson, who has a distinguished career of her own, was the first sitting First Lady to agree to serve as our honorary chairwoman, and a tradition that has now been carried on by Mrs. Kehoe. And in fact, if you leave today, Mrs. Parson's cherry blossom tree is right here at the edge of the parking lot, and I'm proud to report it's still alive, which is great, because Mrs. Hearns' tree died during the winter, and I thought, I'm glad Betty Hearns isn't alive to see this. She'd be so upset. But it's an honor today to add Mike and Teresa Parson's names to the Walk of Fame. It's strange to refer to him as anything but Governor Parson. I think to the people of Missouri, he will always be our governor. But if you would welcome to the stage our good friends, our cherry blossom friends, Mike and Teresa Parson, congratulate them. And they're going to get sick of Marshfield. This is their second visit this week, so we may make them permanent residents.
I am not the speaker of the family, so I'm going to turn it over to the governor. But I'm just happy to be here, and 2 or 3 trips to Marshfield wouldn't be bad in a week as far as I'm concerned.
All right, how about the First Lady, the job she done for 6.5 years? I just feel pretty good being a Baptist, being in the Assembly Church today. That's what I feel pretty good about that, making sure I've been welcome. Okay, a couple of things. Some of your speakers and guests have already been up here. First of all, Chief of Staff. She seems like such a nice lady when you was up here and everything. I will guarantee you there's another side to you. If you've been a chief of staff of a president, I know what it's like working with them chiefs of staff on that and everything. So congratulations. What an experience. What experience. It's kind of me and Teresa's up here today. We come from a little old town of 356 people, you know, and some up here, who up here said their school had 57 people in the graduation? Was that you? So you're from the big city. What are you bragging about? We had 16. 16, yep. Yeah, you're done. 16, you're done, I'm telling you. Big city. So that's how I grew up in a little town of 356 people. My mom and dad were sharecroppers. There's 4 of us boys, and we grew up. And later today, I'll be talking about that, I think, at a book signing and some things about how I grew up. But for me and Teresa both, we're just everyday people, I want to say. And to go from where we come from, the humble beginnings we had, to be the governor and first lady has truly been an honor. We were blessed. It was difficult times. But I do believe there's a purpose for everything that happens in our lives. And sometimes you just got to make sure you're ready when God calls upon you to be a servant. That's what you have to do at those particular times. And I think that's one of the things me and Teresa have been very faithful with, is trying to make sure that we understand we are servants, and all the things that we've been able to do in our period of time to do that. So, and then my good friend Billy and Nancy Yates is here. Now, I have a little different version of this sign, this highway sign that Billy had, because I was actually the governor then. And when this bill come across my desk, and I look at it and I says, why does this sign have neon lights going around it? And they said, well, that's kind of what Billy wanted. He just asked if we could do that. I said, no, you can't do a neon signs. I said, why is it shaped like a guitar of all the things, you know? So he's not quite as humble as he sounded like up here on the stage today. And for Donovan, Missouri, how big is Donovan, Missouri? How big is that town? 2,000. Oh, your city too. You guys both in the city. Billy and Nancy have been such great friends to me and Teresa during our time, and we meet some incredible people, and they are 2 people that are very dear to us and have been very incredible to just have a friendship with them, and just to know how faithful they are and why they're doing what they're doing, and just the real McCoy people, I want to say, to be able to know them. I want to tell you one experience I had with Billy and Nancy that me and Teresa had. They come up to the mansion one night and spent the night. And we were there, and I said, hey, Billy, it was like a Sunday night or something. I said, let's go over to the rotunda at the state capitol. There's nobody over there. And how about you just go over there and we talk, and you pick some tunes, and we just sit around and talk about music and stuff like that, and tell me how it all goes. So it was me, him, Nancy, and Teresa sitting in the middle of the rotunda of the state capitol, and he's playing songs and just talking about everything, life, kids, grandkids. It was one of the most wonderful events that I ever had since I've been governor, just in that private setting that I ever have. What's that? Oh, yeah, the guitar. So we're looking for a guitar in Jeff City. So first of all, you got to understand, I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. People ask me sometimes, do you play music? I said, yes, I do, on the radio, in my truck. But so we had to find a guitar in Jeff City. So, you're the governor of the state of Missouri. It shouldn't be that hard to find a guitar. But I don't know that many people play guitars that are not famous. So, but there was a Supreme Court judge. Somebody said, a Supreme Court judge over here, he plays music sometimes. So I called the Supreme Court judge up, said, you got a guitar over there? Yeah, I got one. I need it. So he said, okay, I'll bring it over. So that's how we got the guitar for the Supreme Court judge. So we were kind of a one-man show that night, I guess, for better terms. But I just want to thank, Nick, I want to thank you. Man, I want to thank you for your friendship, more than anything, and for being here in Marshfield. This is kind of where me and Teresa come from, the same kind of people that are here today. And as I listen to the people up here, the speakers that were up here, you realize how fortunate we are to live the lives we live. And so many times when you're governing the state of Missouri, you hear people sometimes complain about a lot of things. And there's sometimes, I think, for all of us needs to learn a lesson, including myself. Instead of complaining all the time, sometimes we just need to be grateful for what we do have and quit worrying about what we don't have. And I think when you really look at that, you find out where we all been in our lives, and especially when you get to this point in a career and everything. So to be honored today, for me and Teresa to be honored as stars, which is pretty cool when you see all the other names out here, how famous everybody is. I don't know that we rank that high, but anyhow, we'll take it. We'll take it because it's been 4 months since I've been out here with a microphone and a public event. I've been out of office. Because I remember going one time and listening to a comedian in Branson one time. He says, he said, politicians and preachers, you put a crowd in here like this. He's saying, and you put them up there and you give them a microphone and say they want to say something. They say it's like saying sick 'em to a dog when they say that. So here I am. So I'm back in practice a little bit on you guys today. Thank you for everything, for your support for me and Teresa. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the emails, for the letters. I want to share with you that this morning. We got letters from people we never knew, we'll never meet, we'll never see. Sunday school classes, churches, people along the road say, hey, God bless you for the decisions you got to make. I'm going to tell you, those come at some of the most important times and decisions that I had to make when I was governor of the state of Missouri. But don't ever feel sorry for me and Teresa during some tough times when we were governor. I don't want you to ever do that. You know, there's just jobs at hand. You got to figure out how you get through them and to be able to do that. But I'm going to tell you, both of us are so humbled to be called the 57th governor and the first lady of the state of Missouri. And it is an honor and privilege to be here with you today. Thank you all for having us here today. Thank you.
If you notice, we choose a category for each of the honorees. And the Parsons, of course, say public servants, not politicians, public servants. So we really thank them for the public servants that they were, and if you'd give them another round of applause. If you notice, amongst the 7 stars today are included the names of Steve McQueen. Many of you remember Steve McQueen, the great actor, and Tony Orlando, the great entertainer. And Tony, unfortunately, had a commitment that took him out of state for today, but has asked if he can come at future Cherry Blossom Festivals to accept his star. And Mrs. McQueen, they had a situation that she couldn't be here today, but she has also promised to come and accept his star and to do a sit-down interview about the life of Steve McQueen, which I think will be interesting. So we gladly add them. You know, the rule is to be placed in the sidewalk, you have to either accept the star yourself or someone must accept it for you. And so we will hold their stars so that they can be here to actually be pictured and to appreciate the presentation ceremony. To speak about our last honoree, I call forth his brother, David Jerome.
Appreciate it. Can you show me how to turn this on? Good morning, everybody. What an honor it is to be here, to be able to introduce a wonderful human being who I've admired pretty much my entire life. And with him today is his lovely wife, Cindy. And we're just so thankful that they're with us here in Marshfield, Missouri, and he's being honored in this way. And Nicholas, thank you so much. I've known, like I said, Ray pretty much my entire life. I've gotten robbed by him on a train in Silver Dollar City several times. He was a phenomenal actor when he was a student at Southwest Missouri State SMS, I'll end with State. At Craig Hall, many times I went there to see him act in plays and then in tent theater over the years. He was just a phenomenal actor. He certainly influenced me. Not that I became an actor, because I didn't, but he set a good example for me on what it's like to speak in front of a group, and I don't claim to be a good orator, but he certainly instilled in me a confidence to speak publicly, even though, like I said, I don't do it well. But Ray has had a phenomenal career. He was an entertainment director, assistant entertainment director at Silver Dollar City for several years. He was a train robber for several years at Silver Dollar City. And he also worked with the Beverly Hillbillies cast for when they came to film episodes down there. He got to know Irene Ryan really well, really respected her as a classical actress. He knew Donna Douglas, who's on the Walk of Fame over here as well. Max Baer, Buddy Epson, the whole cast. Then he went off, after he graduated from SMS, he went down to Florida State University, got his master's degree in fine arts. He ran theaters down in Florida. And then he went to Chicago and spent over 30 years and did set designs, phenomenal awards that he won for set designs in Chicago. And then he was a motion picture actor. He was in movies such as Home Alone, U.S. Marshals, A League of Their Own, Straight Talk with Dolly Parton, and he's still a very good friend with Dolly Parton. And I'm not mentioning all the movies he was in. When I was working on my doctoral dissertation, I woke up, and you can't hardly sleep when you're working on something like that. So I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted some background noise, so I turned on the television, and I'd forgotten that my wife and I had been watching HBO the night before. And as soon as I turned on that television, it was Ray Toler being killed by Frank Vincent in Chicago Overcoat, the movie. And Ray played a phenomenal, corrupt alderman in Chicago. Maybe that's your calling, I don't know, Ray. But anyway, I love Ray Toler very much. We haven't been around each other a lot in our adult life, but I've never forgotten him. I've always loved him. This honor, to me, is well-deserved. Ray is a very humble individual, and him and his wife, Cindy, now live in Florida. They moved away from Chicago, but I know Ray is honored to be here and pleased, and so please welcome Ray Toler. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. I wasn't paying really good attention when he started, and I thought, boy, this is a really accomplished guy he's going to introduce. And so I walked up here, and it turns out to be me. Well, like David said, I entertained quite a bit in Branson, and both at Silver Dollar City and as a comedian on shows on the Strip. And went out to did a lot of Hollywood movies and a lot of, as David said, set designs. We drove up here from Florida to get this award, and my wife will tell you, as soon as we crossed the state line into Missouri and we saw the Ozark Mountains, I said, the Ozark Mountains, and smell that Missouri air, it smells like I'm home. And I got here, I loved Missouri. I was born in a little town in Jackson County called Buckner, Missouri. And I grew up in Independence. My high school was right across the street from Harry Truman's house. And he used to stand out in his yard and talk to all the students as they walked by. And he'd have his cane and he'd wave it out. David said he used to drive by, and David's dad used to drive by and shout at him, and he'd raise his cane up and wave, and we had a great time. And I knew him, and I knew his wife, and I worked for a while in Albany, Georgia, and ran a theater there. And Jimmy Carter and his family were season ticket holders of the theater. So I've been privileged to know some very famous people and to work with some very famous people. And I am just extremely humbled to earn this award. I've gotten other awards in the past for different things, but to be honored in your own home state for what you do, and it's going to be on that sidewalk forever, is just a really, really humbling experience. And I'm going to bring all my grandkids up here to see it. I'm going to let everybody I know, tell them to come down here and see it. And I have a friend from Iowa who drove down here today, or yesterday actually, and she came down here to see me accept this award. And I really do appreciate it, and I really, really feel humbled for accepting it. Thanks, Nick.
What a group of honorees. What diverse talent, what great contributions, how appropriate to add their names to our roster. I think each of these individuals will long be remembered. As Ray said, their stars will be there permanent. But it always brings me great joy, Ray, when I see people visiting the Walk of Fame, to drive by and see people taking pictures, or now some of our school groups go down there to look and to learn about those names. And so the names that will be added there today will long be remembered by future generations as they should be. If you would like to come forward, each of the honorees, and stand behind your star for your pictures. Now the tradition is the stars are placed in the sidewalk the following spring, so that when you return back to Marshfield, you get to see your stars in the sidewalk. But we hope that you'll enjoy that. Thank you for being here. Congratulations to you. Our next program will be taking place, I think, at 10:35 with Governor Parson's interview. But I invite you to come forward and for you all to take pictures.